let's talk about big picture. Um, what does it mean? What's this whole story mean? Because we've been pretty far up the food chain with people who've been at it for a long time at high levels, high security clearances, worked in programs. They all have guesses, but I don't know a single one of them that knows for sure what it is.
I will give my opinion. This is my opinion, knowing what I know for a fact, reading and coming into contact with information that I believe to be true, looking at history and looking at through my perspective. I think what we are dealing with is very, very, very old. I think old humans have written those down in religious stories. I think that it's quite clear that we have been influenced by something else. I think Arrow has been telling the American public the truth, and you have said this on Weaponized on my behalf, which is Arrow's statement, there is no scientific evidence of extraterrestrials, is 100% technically true. You have to have a control to have scientific proof, and extraterrestrial is a very exact statement and word with an exact definition, an entity of another planet. These things, whatever they are probably what are referred to as gods or demons or angels or jinn, or insert whatever cultural or religious perspective you have. There are probably also extraterrestrials. It's not a one size fits all. And considering, humanity has the same stories across many cultures, a flood, crafts that are in the sky, things that are coming and helping humans. And I'm at an advantage and a disadvantage knowing certain information that relates very clearly to things that are around the world that are related to what I know. I don't think that's by pure coincidence or luck. I think that the people that are in these programs know the truth to this stuff, and they are looking at it through a lens of this is true, this is true, this is true. This has been here for 8,000 years. This has been here for 4,000 years. Oh, we dug up this at an archaeological dig in, hypothetically, Egypt. I mentioned it to you guys last night, Lakatsky in his statement about his faith and what it means to be human and the impact and nothing to fear. Lakatsky and I are both Catholics, but I want to be clear in that it's the idea of something greater than us that is here with us and can influence us. And Pasalka talks about this, and you get into consciousness, and all of these things are so correlated, and that's a problem with this subject. And that's why one of the things that I'm a huge proponent of, going back to having our government be a part of this, is you have to set a foundation. Because if you come out and you throw it all out there, people are going to laugh at you, they're going to call you crazy, they're going to do X, Y, and Z. Then you have to set a foundation, and I understand the UFO fanatics are not going to like this opinion, but this isn't for you, this is for the public. If you want disclosure, the public has to be a part of it, hence why I'm here, is to hopefully get enough people outside of this subject, agitated, upset, and come and say, no, we're done with this. My big picture idea is it's been here for a very long time, it goes by many names, it's many different things, and it has an influence on all of us.
We don't really know what they look like. They're so advanced to us. Gods, sure, could be at that level. They might as well be gods. They're so far advanced. I don't think they need craft to get here. That's some kind of a bauble. That's something to get us interested. Look, hey, look at this. That's why we maybe have so many of them. They don't necessarily crash. That appears to be a crash. Something that's always been here. I'm not entirely positive they have our best interests at heart. Feels like an experiment. They mess with us on a mass scale, an individual scale, and I'm not sure we're ever going to understand it.
I tend to agree with you. I have many thoughts on this, and this is one of the other things I came into knowledge of while at my work at DITRA before I lost my job. When Congress passed the archives legislation where all the agencies were supposed to round up all their documents, I had a wonderful conversation on my last day, and I'm sure it was just coincidental. The person in charge of collecting all of the information from DITRA dealing with extraterrestrials, and as he put it, quote unquote, little green men, happened to sit next to me at my computer terminal and began pulling all of the documents on my system and the systems in our skiff. Interesting fact for you was that he came into the old atomic energy documents from way back when, and there was intelligence and information in those that discuss what you said, which is this has been around with them, and that even back then they had a similar outlook that this isn't exactly for our benefit. You get into, and again, I don't want to go too woo. I want to really avoid the woo, but we're going into hypotheticals, and I try to keep all options open. You're right, theoretically, they don't have to come here. I mean, we're working with Neuralink, we're projecting thoughts, we're doing all of this, dreams, you have MK Ultra, you have all of this stuff throughout the history, and all of our intelligence agencies never get rid of that capability. They only get better at it, and they only get better at hiding it. But if somebody's able to put a thought in your head, George, and tell you build this craft, yeah, you're the one who built it, but the thought came from somebody else. And now you start to get into places that are purely hypothetical, and I'm not even saying I believe them, but it's clear there's something to this.
Like thoughts as intruders from a non-human intelligence, having humanity do the bidding that they want without direct knowledge that it's being asked by someone else. And we're talking about that, right?
Theoretically, that's a possibility, 100%. I think on Joe Rogan, he mentions like artificial intelligence influencing humans to continue to create artificial intelligence and just round and round.
Yeah, the metamorphosis philosophy that Rogan talks about, it's really beautiful.
I mean, I keep all options on the table. What I know is these things are real. They exist. We've had them. Other nations have them. I know that in some way, shape, or form, they appear in a physical sense. I know that they have an interest in people, and I have a strong belief that they have an interest in certain families, if you want to call them that. What does it all mean? I don't know, but what I do know is that as a democratic republic and a nation that votes for our elected leaders and leaders that are supposed to provide us information, we're not fulfilling our obligation in our Constitution because we're not voting with information. We are lying to ourselves.